Welcome to the weekly Health RX by Arvasi. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar-Singh.
And I'm Dr. Tanmeet Sethi. We're physicians trained in modern medicine and experts in Ayurveda. And each Sunday, we cut through the noise with physician-led, science-backed prescriptions personalized to your biology.
From your hormones and gut to your circadian rhythm and nervous system, we'll help you take care of the systems that matter most so you can stop guessing and start feeling better. Finally, medicine that fits you. Hello and welcome. This is your weekly Health RX for the week of October 12th. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar-Singh.
And I'm Dr. Tanmeet Sethi.
So your body is crossing a threshold right now into the fall season. We're deep into Sharad Ritu in Ayurveda, which is Vata season, the season of air and space, with the qualities of cool, dry, and mobile. Days are getting shorter, the winds are picking up, the air is getting drier, and those same qualities, light, dry, mobile, these show up inside of you as well. In addition, fall's cool winds and shortening days are disrupting your rhythm, your digestion, your sleep. And so your rhythms become a little harder to hold on to. Your sleep might feel erratic, your digestion gets irregular, your mind races, and if you don't anchor yourself with consistent practices, especially in the morning, Vata will scatter everything, including your hormones. And that's why this entire month of October is about one thing: anchoring yourself. We're building a layered morning protocol week by week that grounds and protects your energy before an imbalance can take root. And so last week, you started with morning light, and that reset your circadian rhythm, which is your body's master clock. That's the foundation. And so then this week, we're adding the next layer: hydration and meal timing that's aligned to your digestion's readiness, which is based on your dosha. Because here's what we see constantly. Someone nails their morning light practice, and then they reach for coffee before water, or they eat before their digestion is actually awake, and they wonder why they still crash by 10 o'clock in the morning. And you might be thinking, that's me. So don't worry. We've got you. We're going to help you get your mornings back on track. And so that's why we're building this morning protocol one step at a time, week by week in the month of October. Because we're teaching your conductor, which is cortisol, to keep a steady beat so that the rest of your orchestra can play in harmony. And this week, we're focusing specifically on estrogen.
Right. So, Avanti, before we go deeper into our prescription this week, let's let everyone know the three most important things to focus on. So those three things are: number one, if your mornings feel off, your hormones are already off. That 10 a.m. crash, the bloating, the irritability, those aren't random. They're signals that cortisol and estrogen may be misfiring. And number two, that mistake happens when you ignore your digestion's readiness. Some doshas need to eat within an hour of waking to stabilize their blood sugar and cortisol, while others need to wait until true hunger gives a signal that digestion is awake. Eating at the wrong time for your body and your dosha sends cortisol and estrogen into chaos. And number three, probably the most important part, is that this week, don't worry, we're going to fix all of that together. We're going to give you the exact prescription for what to drink, when your digestion is ready, depending on your dosha, and how to time it so that your hormones finally work for you instead of against you. And if you've been feeling wired, heavy, or just not like yourself, this is the prescription that your mornings and your hormones have been waiting for.
And here's the science behind what we're talking about. It's the physiology. Think of your body as an orchestra. Cortisol is the conductor, and estrogen is a musician in that orchestra. And so when the conductor keeps a steady beat, the music plays beautifully. Everyone knows their cue to enter into the music. But when the conductor's baton waves erratically, speeding up sometimes, slowing down, losing rhythm, the musicians get really confused. They miss their entries into the music, and the performance just completely falls apart. That's what's happening in your body every morning. Cortisol should rise smoothly in the first 30 to 60 minutes after you wake. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and we talked about this last week. This rise in cortisol governs your energy, your focus, your immune function, and pretty much how every other hormone down the line behaves for the rest of the day. Studies actually show that when the cortisol awakening response is blunted or mistimed, you're actually at higher risk for burnout, depression, metabolic dysfunction, and weakened immunity. And estrogen is one of the key musicians that follows cortisol's conducting lead. When cortisol keeps a steady tempo, estrogen gets processed smoothly in the liver, and then it's cleared correctly through the gut, and your mood, your skin, your energy, and your cycles stay balanced. But when cortisol spikes unpredictably because you skipped hydration in the morning, grabbed coffee first, or ate when your digestion wasn't ready, estrogen gets dragged off beat. It either hangs around too long in the circulation or it drops too low. And that's when you get symptoms. That's when you get PMS, brain fog, anxiety, irritability, skin inflammation, or those brutal mid-morning crashes. And this matters for everyone, regardless of whether you're a woman or a man, because steady estrogen supports brain function, bone density, cardiovascular health, libido, and mood stability. And so when cortisol throws the rhythm off, everyone suffers.
So, how do you keep that rhythm steady? Well, it starts with what you do in the first hour after waking. So, the moment you open your eyes, your body is already recalibrating, deciding whether it's safe to rise into energy or whether it should stay in survival mode. And the signals that guide that decision are simple: morning light, hydration, and the timing of your first meal. Sometimes when we miss one and cortisol loses its rhythm, we can drag estrogen energy and focus with it. See, you wake up mildly dehydrated every morning because you've lost fluid overnight through normal respiration and perspiration. So if you don't rehydrate within that first 10 to 20 minutes, your body releases something called vasopressin, signaling we're in scarcity mode. We need that hydration. And it tells your body to activate a stress response, which then can elevate sympathetic nervous system activity and push cortisol to rise later and higher than it should. And if you add coffee before you've hydrated or eaten, this can cause even more chaos in some doshas. Caffeine can amplify that cortisol signaling, especially on an empty stomach. So then that first sip can turn a gentle cortisol rise into a surge, and you might feel then wired or jittery or anxious. And then by 10 or 11 a.m., you're just exhausted. So this is where your dosha matters. Each dosha has different digestive patterns. Some people's digestive fire, what we call in Ayurveda Agni, wakes up quickly and needs fuel soon to keep cortisol and blood sugar stable. And for other doshas, your Agni is slower to ignite, and eating before true hunger can actually dampen that fire and disrupt the cortisol curve. We have research on time-restricted feeding that shows aligning food intake with your body's natural metabolic readiness, not just the clock, improves insulin sensitivity, cortisol rhythms, and metabolic health. But readiness isn't the same for everyone. But don't worry, we're going to give you specific timing for your first meal of the day that's personalized to your dosha. Because estrogen is metabolically linked to cortisol through the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary axis. And estrogen can get dragged along. And there's two critical bottlenecks that we worry about. So one is in the liver. When cortisol is chaotic, liver enzymes that should conjugate and clear estrogen get diverted. And if too much estrogen lingers, that can lead to PMS, bloating, irritability, skin breakouts. So this is really important. The second place is in the gut. In the gut microbiome, we have a specialized part that's called the estrobolome. That's gut bacteria that regulate estrogen metabolism. And they can deconjugate, fancy word for just not letting estrogen be excreted the way it wants to be. and then send it back into circulation instead of excreting it. So estrogen can get reabsorbed when it should be leaving your body. So the metaphor still holds. Cortisol is that conductor, and when the baton waves erratically, estrogen misses its cues. And we don't want the performance to unravel. And I can tell you, I feel this in my own body. I'm a Vata Pitta dosha, and fall is my most vulnerable season. I'm feeling it right now. If I skip that morning hydration and delay eating when my body signals hunger, my nervous system goes into overdrive. I feel wired and scattered, and my focus just fractures. I mean, I start 3 things and none of them get finished. And by midday, I'm irritable and exhausted, even though I felt productive and motivated earlier in the day. So, this is a really important prescription for me. And I'm telling you from personal experience, this is a way that I can keep balanced as we move into the fall season. What about you, Avanti?
I'm the opposite. I'm a Pitta Kapha, and so my mornings actually feel really heavy a lot. I mean, I'm really, really experiencing that this week. And if I don't hydrate first thing in the morning and then eat before my digestion is really awake, I actually feel sluggish and even more heavy all day long. So I really need to wait till I feel hunger, which is a little bit later in the morning. And so for me, waiting longer to eat actually helps me feel lighter and more productive and more focused for the morning. So really, again, given that we're both different doshas, we have different patterns in the morning. And, the food and when we eat our meals and hydrate can really, really affect our energy and our focus differently just because of our doshas. And so that's kind of the point here, right? Is that nature will magnify whatever tendencies you already have. And so being really intentional with these practices is really important. When cortisol and estrogen fall out of sync, it doesn't just show up in your lab results. It actually shows up in your body and in your life. For Vata types, the life area that's most affected is your work and your sense of purpose. Because when cortisol is spiking and crashing, your focus spikes and crashes. It's all over the place. You start projects, but you can't really finish them. For Pittas, the life area at stake is vitality and cellular health. Cortisol chaos will fuel inflammation, which then causes more PMS, skin flares, irritability. Your cells just can't catch up, and the inflammation actually takes over. For Kaphas, the life area most affected is your growth and learning, because sluggish hormones really blunt your curiosity and your motivation, so you feel stuck instead of expansive.
So here's the prescription for this week. And remember, this is building upon the protocol you started last week of your consistent wake timing and getting that morning light. There are 3 steps to this week's prescription, and I'm going to go over them, but make sure to sign up for your personalized dosha weekly health RX, because that's where you'll get your personalized instructions within this prescription. So step 1, we want you to hydrate within that 10 to 20 minutes of waking. Remember, this rehydration lowers your stress signaling and tells your brain we're not in crisis so that cortisol can rise smoothly. Step 2, eat your first meal when your digestion signals readiness, not when the clock says to eat. And remember, we'll give you your specific timing in your personalized dosha weekly health RX. And step number 3, delay your coffee until after you've hydrated, and for some doshas, after you've eaten. Caffeine after hydration and food will support cortisol and estrogen instead of disrupting it. So with this week's prescription, you're stacking the next building block of your October morning routine, which remember is your anchor for the transition into the fall season.
And so this week, we want you to notice what happens when you skip water or you eat out of sync with your body's hunger signals. How do you feel by mid-morning? How's your focus? How's your mood? How's your energy? And then notice when you hydrate first or when you eat when your digestion is ready and maybe delay coffee depending on your dosha, how does that change how you feel? Does your focus last longer? Is your mood a little more steady? That's your body telling you that the conductor, your cortisol, is back in control. Okay, friends, so that's the prescription for this week, which you'll layer onto your morning routine of morning hydration and timing your first meal of the day according to your dosha's digestive readiness. Now, let's get specific about what this means for you and your dosha. Thanks for listening to the Weekly Health RX by Arvasi. Be sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss your weekly prescription.
And make sure to take the Arvasi Dosha Data Assessment at myarvasi.com, linked in the show notes, so you can unlock your biology and get your own personalized weekly prescription.